There's a general agreement within this community that FNAF Max Modes aren't usually that fun to play. Sure, it's fun to beat them, as with any challenge in video games, that gives you a fair shot of dopamine, but the grind is always a different story. But this Among Us style fan game, Juniors, is different. Juniors' mechanics make it by far the most fun FNAF fan game I've ever played, with the most fun FNAF Max Mode I've ever beaten. Huge shit! So what then makes this particular Max Mode so exceptionally fun? Well, it's because Juniors is not just mindless defense, it's deduction under pressure.
It's entirely possible that was Puppet that just left that shit. Yeah, it's definitely Puppet.
Every mini murder mystery cycle I survived actually felt like my accomplishment. Even in the spirit of the Max Mode grind, that concept never really got old. And here's exactly how that Juniors formula works. The main difference about Juniors as a FNAF fan game is that you don't fend off against the animatronics. They're not actively out to get you, they're just chilling. Like, genuinely chilling. Except unfortunately, there's an imposter among one of these chill guys, and it's our job to find out who that imposter is. Juniors has 7 characters. Its respective versions of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, the Puppet, and Balloon Boy, Balloon Baby, plus an original character called the Ghost. The Ghost is just the one that determines which character is the imposter by whichever they haunt, so not actually much of a threat in and of itself. Every night or challenge in Juniors has a number of tasks. Not those tasks, these tasks. They essentially mark the amount of times you have to guess who's haunted before the night can end. When the message, "The ghost has entered an animatronic" appears, it's incredibly obvious what just happened. I'm not spelling everything out here, you got this one. When an animatronic is haunted, they start leaving 1 out of the 4 possible clues in the cameras. These being flickering cams, disabled cams, moving cams, or the absolute worst of them all, handprints. For every clue except handprints, whoever's in the camera where the sus activities are going down is the haunted animatronic. Meaning, of course, that whoever's not in that camera is clear. Whichever camera the haunted animatronic moves to is the camera where these first 3 clues are going down. So basically, the clues move with the imposter. Handprints work differently. They can get placed whenever the haunted animatronic leaves the camera, which is the reason why you'll see me constantly circling like this in cams, checking for handprints as well as who's currently in the room, since camera angles get pretty wide here. The core 4 are visible on cams. The Puppet isn't, but does play this music in the camera she's in, and BB just isn't there. He's the free trial of the game, since you can check whether he's haunted or not by looking at his stability marking. Glitchy is haunted, normal isn't. Speaking of which, stability. It's the mechanic that quite literally the entire night is played around. You see, every animatronic starts at 99 stability, which gradually drains over time. Throughout the night, you'll have to call them in for repairs 1 by 1 to make sure their stability doesn't reach 0, because when their stability is 0, yours will be as well. A quick repair isn't that hard, but if the animatronic you call for repairs is haunted, you also die. Meaning you'll have to prove the innocence of whoever's stability is at the lowest before you can safely call them for repairs. And this is the challenge of Juniors. Managing everyone's stability while slowly chipping away at every task before the night can end. There's no 6 AM, you just keep going until you've completed all the tasks. Now, what about the Max Mode? The Max Mode of Juniors is called the Closing Act. The Closing Act has 35 tasks. Exactly what it sounds like, this is a half an hour long marathon of a Max Mode. Half an hour of everyone moving on steroids and the ghost having almost no downtime between hauntings. The way these guys can move during this night as well is actually diabolical. Listen, just because I said it's fun doesn't mean that there's somehow no bullshit involved. Just like every other Max Mode I've beaten, there's always some kind of RNG factor that can screw you over, or at least put you in a bad position. But Wes, can't you just speedrun it by constantly guessing who the imposter is immediately? Well, you can in earlier nights, but not in the Closing Act. Let me explain. In the Closing Act, you can't make a single lapse in judgment. Normally when you guess wrong about who's haunted, that animatronic stability just goes down, essentially giving you a second, third, maybe even 4th chance at guessing, making fluking the night a very valid option. But the Closing Act has a challenge called no errors, meaning guessing wrong is instant death. Careful consideration is therefore necessary. Cause sure, if one character is in the camera where a clue is happening, pretty goddamn obvious who it is, but more often than not, you'll find multiple in the same camera at once. Meaning you really have to use some next level Sherlock Holmes skills to deduce who is actually the one moving those cameras around. This starts getting real difficult when characters just don't leave each other's side. Who's the one causing this disabled camera? I don't know. Freddy and Foxy won't stop holding each other's hand, and I need to know whether Foxy's safe to call for repairs. Son of a... Handprints become even worse with this as well. You have to endlessly stare at one camera waiting for someone to leave a handprint, and then when it finally happens... Well, was it Bonnie or Freddy? You're on the clock. Freddy's next up for repairs. Chop chop. Who was it?
Okay, it's Bonnie. Not quite sure about what that...
Skill issue, am I right? Anyway, that was another 20-minute run. Now, what I'm describing here might sound terrible, so then why am I still calling the closing act so fun? Well, it's because of the strategy in this night. The strategy that, once you understand it, both helps tremendously with the bullshit while somehow still keeping the satisfaction of dealing with it completely intact.
Is Freddy here? Oh my god, these trials are so fucking good. Let's go.
Taking everything into consideration, what did this godlike strategy look like? Well, a very important part of it has to do with how the game chooses the imposter for each round. At the beginning of the night, or right after finishing a task, the ghost haunts a new random animatronic. It can pick from any one of these 6, but there is one condition. When an animatronic is being called for repairs, they can't get haunted. Which is huge, because the less animatronics there are to worry about being haunted, the faster you can guess who it is, and the faster you can cycle your repairs. This means it is an absolute must to have one of these 5, more on that in a second, being called for repairs when you check someone for being haunted. The reason I'm excluding BB from these 5 is because once again, it's easy to tell when he's haunted. It gets rid of a lot of potential clearing you'd have to do to safely call someone for repairs. Ideally, you always want to have BB available for a haunting, so basically never have him being called for repairs when you do that check to complete a task. You may notice here as well the clear order of repairs I constantly use. It's just much easier to inherently know that Bonnie's next for repairs when you just repaired Freddy than having to check who's the lowest every single time. You can use any order you want, but I recommend keeping it to a constant throughout attempts. When it comes to animatronic stabilities dwindling kinda low, staggering is totally acceptable. If Chica's stability is down to 30 and the puppet's down to 40, and you know that Foxy is haunted, in my cycle of repairs here, I could technically call and repair Chica, then call and repair Puppet, then maybe even BB as well, all before even checking Foxy, and then immediately calling him before someone can get haunted again. There is no penalty for taking too long on tasks, so use it. All of this ties back into the overall playstyle I kept myself to during the closing act. I was less focused on who is the imposter and more on who isn't the imposter. Because as I said, bullshit does exist in this game. Animatronics might move before you want them to, or way after you want them to. No joke, there's times where they're quite literally not in any camera, despite them not being in repairs either. Actually outside taking a full-on smoke break for however long they want to stagger your progress for. Anyway, I digress. The structural repair tactic will definitely help mitigate the effect of these shenanigans. The only thing that, even with practice, can still be a problem is the night's obnoxious length. 30 minutes creates more than enough potential for getting lost in the sauce somewhere along the way, leading to some inevitable stupid mistakes. But even that is helped by the exact thing I said near the beginning of this video. Every mini murder mystery cycle I survived actually felt like my accomplishment. I was no longer just pressing D when Funtime Freddy very blatantly announced exactly what he was going to do. I was using real deduction skills to make it through each individual situation the game offered. Sure, it's not very hard, but it is fun. And that fun was exactly what carried me to the W.
It's Puppet. Huge shit. Oh, let's go. Actually, easy. Dude, that shit is actually so fun. Not even gonna lie about it. actually kind of fun. It is a bit stressful, I won't lie, because you have to keep being like, okay, so I just called Freddy, it's not gonna be him.
And that's 35 tasks flawlessly completed with a smile on my face. 3 times, by the way, just saying, it's low-key pretty easy. Fun fact, statistically speaking, you watching this right now are part of the 14% of people to make it this far into the video. That not only makes you a super special fella, it also makes that subscribe button down below all the more valuable to click. I do FNAF Max modes like this all the time, so there's plenty more where this video came from compiled into the playlist you'll find down below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next FNAF Max modes video.